I want to call the Daviess County Fiscal Court April 23rd, 2020 meeting to order. Commissioner Wathen, would you lead us in a prayer and a pledge?
Yes. Dear God, our Father, thank you for all of the blessings that you have bestowed on this great country. And thank you for all the blessings that you've bestowed on Daviess County. Please protect all of Daviess County's employees as they try to make our lives better. We ask that you intervene and help all of those who have been directly affected by the COVID-19 virus. Please give those who are combating the virus the wisdom they need so that they can do what it takes to control it and slow it down so that less victims will be affected. As always, we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. And once again, I want to welcome everyone to our April 23rd, 2020 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. Before we start the meeting, in case those folks missed the Facebook post on Daviess County's Facebook post, on EMA's Facebook, on the Facebook at the Green River Health Department, we had 10 cases again reported today, bringing Daviess County's total cases to 146. 73 of those cases have recovered. So we're actually trending a little higher in our recovery rates than most other counties. Sadly, 3 of those folks passed away, and our condolences go out to their families and loved ones. Of the 70 folks that are left, 5 are in the hospital. So 5 are in the hospital. So, you know, we're seeing our numbers go up. According to the governor, I was on a conference with him today. According to the governor, he says that he thinks that we have hit the plateau, but we haven't started downward. Well, certainly Daviess County this past week has not hit the plateau. We have actually seen a tremendous increase in the number of cases that we have. A vast majority of those cases could be traced to a single hotspot. And I know Clay Horton and the health department and the hospital and everybody involved are trying to figure out how we can handle that, what we can do to make sure that all of those folks are safe and do not bring that virus to any of their loved ones. So with that said, if everybody's ready to go, the first item for consideration is the Treasurer's Report for March 2020. Mr. Hendricks.
Cash on March 31st was $36,972,138. General fund $15,447,273. Through the first 3 quarters, all the funds are performing within the anticipated range. I have nothing to report to the court.
Commissioners, this is just a report, doesn't require a vote. Anyone have a question or comment for the treasurer? Hearing none, next item is the Daviess County Extension Off 2020-2021 budget. Unfortunately, as I look through my pages, I don't see it. Do you have it, Commissioner Caslen? Okay, that may be, that is good. That is, thank you, Commissioner. One of the things I would tell you, and I had written on mine, there was no increase in the tax rate this year for the Extension District. Their taxes will generate about $637,000. Interest earned $5,000. They'll have $642,760 to spend. They'll carry over from last year $849,950. That gives them a total of $1,492,710 in cash. And you see their expenses: personnel is $515,000, operations $162,000, administration $56,000, capital outlay $37,000. So their total appropriations will be $770,000. leaving them at the end of that year somewhere around $700,000, $770,000. So they are going to use their reserves. I can assure you not all of those reserves will be used because they will not spend all the money that they appropriated. As a matter of fact, under personnel, they're down 2 positions. Even though it's in the expenditure, I don't think that they will end up hiring those people. So, again, their tax rate is 0.0085, 85/100ths of 1%. They do a heck of a lot of good and amazing work with such a little tax rate. Their job is to bring it to us. They're a special governmental entity. They bring it to us, and we look at it. Any question or comment? We don't have to approve it. It's just for our information. Any question or comment? Both that budget and the Treasury report will be in my office for inspection should the public wish it. I would hope that if they want to look at it, that I'll be happy to digitize it and send it to them by email. Next item, and remember, Commissioners, I'm doing Jenny's job as well, and sometimes I get lost, so don't let me get ahead of myself. Next item for consideration is approval of the minutes of April 2nd, 2020, Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioners, you've had a copy of the minutes in your possession for some time. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, all claims for all departments.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession for some time. Any question of the treasurer? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, contract with Stuart Snow for the 2020 fireworks display at Panther Creek. We have pulled that contract. There was some question regarding what happens if the COVID virus continues for a longer period than what we think. We spoke with Mr. Snow today. His recommendation was that we come back and talk to him around the 1st of July. That'll be plenty of time. And he said that we'll be more sure of what's going on. So that contract has been pulled. Next item. D, agreement with Ricky Moore Trucking, LLC, Transit and Material Handler Lease Agreement, and the Henderson Transfer Station Operation Agreement. Who's supposed to do that? David? Nobody's going to do that?
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Is that your way of smacking me, Charlie?
No, sir, but you said
All right.
keep you on task.
Yeah, I appreciate it. These are agreements with Ricky Moore, who does the transport of solid waste from the Henderson site to the Daviess County site. It's a transit vehicle lease agreement, and it's a material haulers lease agreement, and it's also the lease agreement to operate the transfer station.
You said material hauler lease
Yes.
agreement. It says material handler lease
Material handler lease agreement. I appreciate you keeping me on my toes.
Yes, sir.
Well, transit vehicle lease agreement, and we're also going to consider in that packet the extension of the contract with Ricky Moore Trucking. Isn't that correct, Mr. Hendricks?
There's
Yes,
four.
Judge.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
4 items.
4 items, and then the contract for transportation of solid waste with Ricky Moore. So
Do
those
we
are,
need separate motions for each of these, or we can do them all in one bundle?
For clarity, it might be best to do each one of them separately.
Okay.
okay. The first one, transit and material handler lease agreement.
Well, I'm going to say that was my motion.
That was your motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. So, is there any discussion or question? And I hope there's not, but if there is, I'll try to answer. There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item is the material
Material handler
Yeah,
lease
material handler lease agreement.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any question or comment? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is an extension of the contract with Ricky Moore Trucking.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any question or comment? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The next one is a contract for Ricky Moore to operate the transfer station in Henderson.
Motion
Whoops.
approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any question or comment? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And I know
Opposed?
I waited too long, but I just want to thank David Smith and yourself for all the work y'all did on pulling this off, because it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I think this is one of the reasons that we've got enough cash on hand
Right.
at the landfill, so that we're not able to, or having to borrow money. David Smith primarily, Jim worked with him, and Jordan worked with him. And I want to thank the Henderson City government for having the confidence in us. Believe it or not, we've been doing this now for 5 years. Claude and I were talking earlier today, and we're going, no, it's not been 5 years, but it's been 5 years. And I think it's been a very, very good agreement for both Henderson City and Daviess County.
Right.
I think for clarification, I
Yes.
know that sometimes the commissioners get comments from the public about why are you bringing their trash here and
Yeah.
filling our up quicker? And so that there has to be an understanding. Obviously, we don't want to go get all the tons we can get somewhere else, because that's exactly right. You just filled up your space quicker, then what are you going to do? But that's not what this contract is. We had capacity in our landfill where if we filled it with this contract, it has very little impact on the life, but it has a huge impact on cash flow. So instead of having to raise the rates on our current customers, this is helping us generate the cash that we talked about in the prior meeting, where we can now go buy all the capital equipment, pay all the expenses. We have not raised rates out there since 2011, and it doesn't look like we're going to have to raise rates in the foreseeable future. And that's because of a couple of extra contracts like this one that generates that extra amount of cash. But again, this has very little impact on the ultimate life. So
It's an excellent deal for the residents of the city of Owensboro. It's an excellent deal for the residents of Daviess County, because their trash is disposed of far cheaper in our landfill than it would be at a surrounding landfill. Just think of what the city of Owensboro would have to do if they drove, is it Lopshire Metals, or what's the landfill over the other side of Hartford? Anyway.
Bellfield?
Who, Bellfield?
I think it's-
So they would have to drive their own trucks over there to dump them. They come to a transfer station in the city, we transfer it out to our landfill. Saves the citizens of Owensboro and Daviess County a lot of money. Now, it's a good deal for Henderson, and why do I say that? They bid this out. They didn't just give it to us because we're nice guys. They bid it out. So it's a good deal for them as well. Very seldom can you have an arm's length transaction that is a perfect and good deal for everybody concerned. So, anyway.
I have
Yeah.
one other little thing
Yes, sir.
just to add in, because I've been asked 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
What it's going to do to, as far as the life of our landfill. And we've had a couple different estimates, but because we just purchased those 2 farms out there, we have at least 100 years of landfill use right there in that spot. And it's probably more than that, but I don't want to say it is. Of course,
Right.
nobody will ever know if I'm right or wrong that are here, but we have at least 100 years of landfill, so.
Commissioner, that's a very good point, and as you are aware, we are trying to purchase some more land, which would give us even more lifetime. But let me tell you this, I suspect none of us will be here, but at some point in the next 100 years, I think that landfill will be turned into a mining site, because people will start to mine landfills to reclaim the stuff that we buried. I really believe that. So, it's a good deal. Any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
We already did that.
Oh, did we do
I-
that?
I was out of order making the discussion afterwards. But
Can
we
you,
didn't have a
Rodney, next
parliament-
time, could you just turn him off?
We didn't have a parliamentarian though,
Oh,
like
all right.
Dr. Bob.
So we're done with that?
Yes.
Okay. The next item is lease agreement with Matt Boarman regarding Little Hurricane Boat Ramp.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners and Claude, I'm glad you're here. Matty Boarman came to us back probably a year and a half ago, wanting to know about moving a boat ramp that he has at one site on the Ohio River. I think it's Ray Asmeyer owns the site, and move it down and moor it at Little Hurricane Boat Ramp. Okay? We got to talking and looking. Matty had a lot of proposals. He really needed to do something quickly. So I had Claude prepare a lease, and this lease is for 1 year with another year of renewal, I think. So it's a
Yes.
2-year lease. And in effect, what it says is Mr. Boarman may moor his boat or his
His
dock.
dock.
Mr. Boarman may attach it to our property, our land. Mr. Boarman will be able to use the parking, the picnicking area, the property. In the use, though, he must leave it and maintain it open for the general public to use. This is taxpayer-owned property, so we can't give it to a private businessman to profit and then our taxpayers not be able to use it. So everybody should be able to go about their business as usual. Whatever Mr. Boarman would sell and provide over and above those uses I just named, he certainly has a right to collect money for gasoline that people buy. If he has a little store on his boat ramp, then he has a right to charge for those items. If he does anything other than that, he must obtain fiscal court's approval. So he can't go down there and start digging back into the bank. He can't build him a building on the property. And in return, he takes over the maintenance. In other words, Parks Department and the Road Department have been mowing grass and shoving mud off the, when it floods and those kinds of things. And that's all he does. He takes over that maintenance. So we benefit in that we save taxpayer dollars. We're able to accommodate him, and he puts a boat dock that I don't think there's another one around Davis County, to my knowledge. Mike, do you know? I don't think there is. So I think it's a good deal. He has these 2 years. We're asking him, if he wants to do more, he has to develop a plan and bring it back to us for our approval. So I think it's a good deal. It apparently was a good deal because when we sent the proposed contract to him for his review and comment, he signed it and sent it right back to us. So, but I think Matty is ready and eager to do something, because I think he's being told, you gotta get that boat dock.
He's already got a whole bunch of stuff at our,
Yeah.
down there.
Yes.
Because I was down there either.
Yes.
Lease and I did a drive down
He
there.
is eager to get it up and running.
He
and,
didn't have it in the water yet, but he had it
Yeah.
ready
Yeah.
to.
So anyway,
Judge,
if,
I may
yes,
say, he also will be responsible for bringing the utilities, sort of like water and. or,
Yeah, anything
electricity,
anything we
and
want.
then he leaves, then it's
yeah,
ours.
it's ours. That's correct. Anything that he affixes,
He has to get written permission for that.
yeah, he has to get written permission first, and then, as you said, it becomes affixed to our property, and it stays there, so.
And within those 2 years, we may develop requests for proposals. for
And I
anybody.
forgot about that, Claude, because in this, since we really are not giving him the exclusive use, if we do more than that, where he gets an exclusive contract, then we're gonna have to do a request for proposal. So that's kind of develop a plan, do a request for proposal. You're certainly, granted the right to look at it and make a proposal. But to me, I think it's pretty great that a citizen of Davis County has stepped up and is willing to spend his own money to do these things. Any other question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, per bid 28-2019, purchase one MEC 300E ATA machine with transformer. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge, I've included 2 pages in your packets detailing the awarded vendor for bid number 28-2019. We have 2 trap fields at the Daviess County Gun Club, only one of which is currently equipped from our initial equipment order from this bid. We are recommending purchasing an additional ATA machine from bid 28-2019's pricing schedule in the amount of $3,288.55. This bid was awarded to House Shooting Supplies Incorporated on July 23rd, 2019. They've agreed to honor the price, and I would recommend approval.
Commissioners, at the Daviess County Gun Club, there are 2 trap fields. One of them had a machine to throw targets. This past fall, Zach Chris, who is connected with FFA, and what's the other one? 4-H, and some of the high schools, they all have trap teams. As a matter of fact, because of the lack of shooting facilities around here, he was able to bring quite a few of the high schools out to our field where they practice and they actually shot some competitive trap. One 5-station field doesn't move very many people through, particularly when you're shooting 50 targets. So they got to go through and come back. There are 2 fields. We're going to equip the field. We think that we will probably recoup the cost of that machine this season with the number of folks that he can bring in. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, declare surplus equipment and vehicles for disposition.
Move to approve.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge, the items presented on this schedule are no longer operable. They are obsolete, and they are currently taking up some valuable storage space. Per administrative code, we must declare surplus any item in order to dispose of it through any method of disposition we choose. We anticipate that we will receive more from scrapping all of these items now rather than storing them for several years waiting on an auction, so I would recommend approval.
Question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, award the following. Request for quote number 02-2020, one new 72-inch zero-turn mower. RFQ number 03-2020, a target thrower cart and release packages. And bid number 07-2020, new target throwing machines. Sorry. Does anybody want to make a
Move to
motion?
approve.
Second.
You're supposed to whack me, George, so I don't do that. I have a motion second. Mr. Johnson. And let's go through one bid at a time, and if anybody has any questions.
Certainly, Judge. Starting with RFQ number 02-2020, one new 72-inch zero-turn mower for the Parks Department. This item is to replace a unit at the parks that is damaged beyond repair. This replacement was initially a requested item for fiscal year 2021's budget, but the unit has failed and requires timely replacement for the mowing season. And we received 3 quotes ranging from $12,105 to $12,210 and recommend pursuing the best evaluated quote submitted by Hagen's Outdoor Equipment for the 2020 Skag 72-inch zero-turn mower in the amount of $12,105.
Question or comment?
I'm just curious, when we bid this, did we specify that it had to be a Skag or is it just? Because it just surprised me so often we have a pretty good spread on bids, and these are really tight.
For this particular mower, this Skag unit is actually on a government rate schedule.
I
It's
see.
fairly cheap, so that's why the 2 lowest quotes were tied.
I see. All right.
Okay, no questions. Next item.
RFQ number 3-2020, target thrower carts and release packages. These are the carts and release packages for the equipment listed in bid number 7-2020 that we're about to discuss. Since the grant accompanying bid 7-2020 was restrictive on the equipment to be included, these items must be purchased separately and are required to operate and transport that equipment. We received 3 quotes ranging from $4,300.40 to $4,814.98, and recommend pursuing the lowest and best evaluated quote of House Shooting Supplies Incorporated in the amount of $4,300.40.
Question or comment?
Do we get any grant money from that, or reimbursement?
It's on the next item.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson, next item.
Bid number 7, 2020, new target throwing machines. This bid is to further equip the Davis County Gun Club with units to meet demand, allowing us to accommodate 2 additional stations for large events and take advantage of a 50% NRA grant. It should be noted that the grant dictated the equipment list presented on the evaluation report. We received only 1 bid submitted by House Shooting Supplies Incorporated in the amount of $24,128. There was a minor exception where the vendor included an additional inverter amp that is standard with the order. This has no impact on the grant, and I would recommend approval.
Question or comment? Commissioner, to your question, we received a $25,000 NRA grant. They would pay 50% of the cost. So in effect, we're equipping it for $25,000 less. I would tell you that the Davis County Gun Club is one of the few amenities that are left open in our parks because of the way this is done. Usually it's 4 to 5 people. They are spaced apart. We did $1,300 to $1,400 in business this past week. So in a poor period of time, and everyone that was out there, I went out on Sunday, and all those people were from outside of this community, believe it or not. They were here from Indiana, Louisville, Lexington, and when they heard that we were going to get enough machines to, instead of having 10 stations, we could have 12 to 14, they were ecstatic, and they were going to tell everybody. So I really believe that Zach Crisp, the fellow that's managing it, is going to be able to make that a full-time goal. They're really going to.
Very good. Al, I don't mean to interrupt you, and he might be addressing it, but somebody just texted me and said, would you ask them to turn the sound up? We're having a hard time hearing you.
I think that is what Wayne is doing. Are you trying to get the sound up? There are some machines for whatever out there. Phones, they don't seem to have a problem, or some computers they can't hear. There is a way to do it, because I was on a computer once before, and then I found a little button I clicked and it worked on my phone. There are also some others, so I don't know what piece of equipment you're using. Bear with us, folks, out in TV land. We are working and doing our best to get this done.
Al, will our people, excuse me, Judge,
Yes.
will our people be installing these, or will this outfit that we're buying this from?
No,
install?
Charlie. Call me Al all day long. Our people do it. I mean, when they come, actually, Zach, the manager, will do it.
Okay.
And then with the parks, we have one park attendant that works out there with him, and so they will be mounting the equipment on the carts, which are 2-wheel carts, and then they will be setting the release mechanisms, and these have solar panels. That's how they are.
Okay.
How they are powered. They will do all of that, and it's pretty simple. If there are no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Just for clarity, that was on both of the quotes.
I'm sorry?
I was on both of the quotes because I don't know that there was a vote on the second one. I just.
That was
did
on all, no, that was
all
on.
of them.
We made a motion on all 3. We just had him break them down in his explanation.
But we took 2 this last time. We took both the ones from the thrower and then the ones with the package, I think. I don't think we voted on the package.
Well, we did the mower too.
Yeah,
already
we
done the
included
mower.
the
You voted on
mower,
the
the
mower.
target throwers, and no, they were all included.
Okay.
And they all read. They were all read, right?
Yeah, they were all red. They just weren't voted. You voted on the first one, and then we did the second one and didn't vote. Now we're doing the third. Okay.
No.
All right.
Okay.
As long as you all believe that.
Awarding, just to be sure, awarding those 3 bids that were just read by Mr. Johnson. All those in favor signify by saying
Do a
aye.
motion in a second.
No, because we had the
All right.
motion.
You had a
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? motion carries. I would let everyone out in TV land know that that was caused by our county attorney. All right, next item. If Jenny was here, it'd be a whole lot easier. You know that. Next item, release the following surety bonds: Whispering Meadows, Section 4, Unit 1, and Brookfield Subdivision, Unit 1.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mark?
Yes, sir. The developer has requested release of surety for Whispering Meadows, Section 4, Unit 1, which entails sidewalk. We have inspected that sidewalk, and I do recommend approval.
Any question or comment? Mark, does he still have some bond left in that subdivision?
No, that's the final surety for that section, Unit 1.
Okay, this just releases what your inspector has said has been put in properly.
Correct.
Okay. If there are no other questions or comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, promote Ron Whitworth, transfer station heavy equipment operator.
Judge.
I'm
We had
sorry?
two.
What
We
did
had
I
two
do?
sureties.
We
That
had
was
two
first
surety things, one for the Whispering Meadows and one for Brookfield.
Yes.
We only
And
did
we-
one.
And we had a motion. I thought we had a motion and a second.
We
I
just did
read
one.
both of them.
You did?
He read both of them, but Mark
Yeah.
only addressed one of them.
You only talked about Whispering Meadows?
Correct.
Well, way to go.
Why
For
don't you
everyone
talk
in,
about
This was
Brookfield?
my
yeah,
fault.
for everyone in TV land, understand that it's the Davis County engineer that caused that mess up. Just tell us about the other one. Tell us about the other one, Mark.
The developer for Brookfield Section 1 has requested release of surety in the amount of $30,220, and that is for the asphalt pavement and the maintenance bond. We have reviewed that work, and I do recommend approval.
Any question or comment?
And is this the final surety on this part?
On Section 1, correct.
Okay.
And let me, I'm just curious on these, you know, when we go into a neighborhood now, we're having to come up to ADA rules. Are they putting these in at ADA rules, or are we gonna have to go back and do these when we re-asphalt these someday?
The Whispering Meadows surety actually had sidewalk on it. That was before we made the change. Brookfield, we've made a change where we do not take surety. We approve that before we sign off on the CO for the building. So now when a property is built upon in subdivisions, we make the sidewalk go in and we inspect it before they get their CO through OMPC.
That's worked very well, hasn't it?
It
As a
has.
matter of fact, I think the developers want to follow the county's rules and regulations.
So
Did the
for
city
example-
did the city ever change theirs?
They have.
Okay, so they
For
did.
example, Whispering Meadows, that sidewalk's been out there for 3 or 4 years before they asked for a release for us to inspect it. In Brookfield, we're inspecting each section of sidewalk in front of each house as it's being built. So instead of sidewalk being out there for multiple years, maybe not compliant, now we're assuring that it's being built and approved before the house is even purchased.
Even worse, Mark, so they build the house, build the sidewalk, we accept it today.
Right.
Before, they'd build a house or two, build a sidewalk, we wouldn't accept it, and somebody runs a big concrete truck over it and cracks it and breaks it up. Guess who's got to pay to replace it? So this relieves the liability of that builder. It shortens up the term that they're liable.
Sure. We get to inspect more of it to make sure it is in compliance, so.
But we're making sure particularly where the curbs are.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we are going to revote, this being on the release of the following surety bonds: Whispering Meadows, Section 4, Unit 1, and Brookfield Subdivision, Unit 1. County Attorney, are you all right with that? Aye. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we go to item J.
Citizens that are watching, Judge, are gonna believe that they're experiencing some kind of loop, a deja vu loop.
Well, it's only because Commissioner Caslin is responsible for most of this. Item J, promote Ron Whitworth to transfer station heavy equipment operator.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. This is just a promotion. It's not adding anyone. I think it was an internal promotion.
That's correct.
Yes, an internal promotion. Congratulations to Ron. Keep on doing a good job. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item K, promote Colton Lanham to Road Department Heavy Equipment Operator.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Again, this is just promoting Colton. It's an internal promotion. I want to say congratulations, Colton, on the promotion. Keep doing a good job. Any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item L, hire Keely Johnson as the Henderson Transfer Station Scale House Operator.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Keely was in here, at the beginning of the week. I met her. She's a very nice lady. Keely comes from, she has experience from another operation, waste disposal operation. I might say this, and sometimes you think people they listen to what we say, and if you recall, I talked in terms of our solid waste operation is an enterprise zone, meaning no tax dollars go into it. And somebody had kind of shook their finger at us because we were taking Daviess County tax dollars and sending it down to Henderson and operating this scale house. Well, that is not the case. That money is being paid out of all the fees that the people in Henderson pay for using the scale house and that transfer station down there. So, Keely, congratulations. I think there were 3 folks that applied, or the final 3. All 3 were good candidates. Keely, thank you for agreeing to work for us. There are no other questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item M, hire the following seasonal interns upon successful completion of pre-employment screening. In the engineering department, Dylan Payne, Jaden Bickett, Warren Gates. In the road department, Christian Lay, Christian Shrivner, and Nathan Lanham, Quantavious Young, and J.R. Gates. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. 3 of the road department employees or interns will be doing the painting of the fire hydrants. We do have 1 more to hire, and we hope to have that person hired at our first meeting in May. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item N, reappoint Chuck Kaufman after serving 1.5 terms to the Daviess County Sweep Board.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. His term will be 5/1/2020 to 5/1/23. Chuck, thank you for serving before. I know you'll do a good job going forward. Any other question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item O, reappoint Sharon Sullivan. I think this is her 5th term. To the Greenwood Cemetery Board, term 4/19/2020 to 4/19/2023.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and second. Sister Sharon, thank you for agreeing to serve on the Greenwood Cemetery Board. You've done an excellent job, and I know you'll continue to do so. If there are no other questions or comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, consideration for discussion. First reading of KOC B.50 2020-06-2020, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds, Series 2020A. We don't need a vote. Mr. Hendricks.
Judge, this ordinance is for us to place debt in order to pay for the telecommunications system, which is going to be built over the next 2.5 years. We discussed how we were going to finance that. The decision was we would borrow up to $5 million. The way the bond council wrote the document is the way they always do. They give us leeway. we can actually go up to $500,000 more than that to pay for expenses and unknown items that we might find out before we place the debt. But their current orders are that we will place $5 million. Now, we can all discuss between now and then if the impact of unknown things when we did it, do we want to take it up to the max or 5.5? But we can talk about that later. But this document is so that we can fulfill all the legal requirements in order to place the debt as a GO bond. And what they're going to do in actuality is bank debt right now is really favorable because we expect to borrow this money for 10 years or less. They're going to do a competitive bank issue also. It may be possible that we do not do the bond. We may do bank debt. And they'll look at both and pick whatever the most favorable is for the fiscal court, based on terms, based on repay, based on interest rates. And the interest rates right now are really favorable, for us. So it's a good, if you're going to have to do this, right now is a good time to do it. Now, we don't know if we'll get done by June or bleed over into the new fiscal year, again, because right now the debt office at DLG is really not open for business. So we're kind of waiting on them. That's what's held it up so far. We're basically having to wait to see when they can get the legal fulfillments done with them.
Question or comment from the commissioners? Yes, sir.
If we do bank debt instead of a bond, will that affect the flexibility of the bond as far as the term, and paying it off and not paying it off?
No, that will be incorporated into the placement, and fiscal court will be given a choice. But no, the idea right now is to do at least a 7-year call so that you can pay it off in 7 years or so. They are aware that we would like that option. So,
Any other question or comment? Jim, let's say that things just go down the tube. And we decide we don't have no cash that we can put in. The best I remember this, we're thinking this bid was going to be somewhere between 5.5, maybe 6.5, plus whatever the yearly maintenance. We were going to pay the yearly maintenance. We're not bonding that. What if we found ourselves needing to borrow another $1 million? I know we've got 500,000 flexibility. Bank note probably wouldn't be a problem.
no, I mean, you would just have to repeat the process that we have to go through in order to place it. We obviously have plenty of headroom.
Right.
We have very low debt based upon what we are capable of borrowing and based upon what we're capable of paying for. So, I mean, you would just go through the process again.
I guess, just thinking out loud, we could do a combination of a bond and bank note or bank loan.
Well, most of the process with DLG is going to be similar. The question is, do we issue the bond, which is a little more complicated, or not? And then if you do the bank debt, you don't have to have the debt rating and all that.
Right.
It's a little simpler, but yeah, I mean, interest rates dictate.
Now, you believe that we will be ready to have the second reading in May?
I don't see a problem with the second reading. I just don't know when they'll get the sale done.
Okay.
Yeah, the second reading will be fine.
Okay. Any other question or comment? Next item, B, other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court. I have none. C, public comment. I don't know if we got anybody who sent in a question or comment, so we have none. Next item is D, comments by Daviess County Fiscal Court. Commissioner Koger.
Pass.
Commissioner Wathen.
I've got a couple things. I just want to mention, I'm on the committee for the Green River Area Response Fund for the COVID virus. And I just want to mention, we have, it's kind of amazing, really. There's $685,000 has been pledged by 95 different organizations or individuals for that fund. So that feels pretty good to know that we got that many people that want to help. And right now, so far, after 3 weeks, we've funded 23 different grants for $141,000. So it's really working out good for those people who are receiving those funds. We mentioned earlier, I thought myself there would be more people applying for the grants, but we're finding out that the reason more people have not applied for a grant is they're waiting to accumulate some of their expense and see what it's actually going to cost them to help service these different people. So more to come on that. And then just as a little side note, actually one of the recipients of the grants was the Senior Citizen Center. And I just want to mention what they're doing. Before we had this shutdown, they were serving 180 people a week in their cafeteria. 80 people were being served in Whitesville, and then Meals on Wheels was 650, which is right at 900 people being served lunch. Now they're serving 450 people on a carry-out basis at the Senior Citizen Center, and in Whitesville 120, and the Meals on Wheels has moved up to 2,035 per week. That's 2,035 instead of 650. So that's a pretty big difference. Altogether, the summary is they're serving 1,700 more meals a week than they were. So they're working pretty hard over there and making things happen and serving a lot of people. So
Anything else?
that's it.
Commissioner Caston?
Well, I was going to ask Commissioner Wathen if he wouldn't mind addressing what you and I talked about today as far as the TARP fee at the Senate and how that came to be, and also trash on the highways that we get calls about on a relatively routine basis. You're the liaison commissioner with the landfill, and that's why we defer to you.
Well, usually we get the most calls for trash on the side of the road, actually right after all the farmers harvest their crops. And I think that's because this trash accumulates all year, and you can't, or during the season you can't see it because the crops are in the way. So once they harvest their crops, we see all the trash, we get all kinds of calls. So what we've done is two things. One, we've started enforcing a rule that we had in place, and that was any individuals or companies that bring trash to either the transfer station or the landfill, they have to have tarpaulin on those, covering the trash. Then also, we have improved our own tarpaulins on our own trailers. And what we're doing, I think we have 4 new ones now. They're more efficient and they're easier to operate. So we've replaced 4 out of, I think we have 7 trailers. So we've replaced 4 of them. And what we're doing is we're replacing them as the trailer needs to be replaced. We're getting a new style tarp. So with all that in place, we should have less trash. The only exception to the tarp rule is if you go out, if you bring your trash to be dumped, and it's something that can't blow away, like a freezer or a railroad tie or something like that, you don't have to have a tarpaulin. Otherwise, if you show up without a tarpaulin, it costs you $5. So,
Or I think, don't they give you a choice? You can go out and get a tarp on it. I think the choice is, and most people are choosing to just pay the $5.
yeah, I think most people just pay the $5.
Yeah, but they can go on back and tarp it and then bring it back. Thank you, Commissioner, for the explanation, and that rule has been in effect. We just were nice and not enforcing it. But we started getting an inordinate amount of calls, particularly around the transfer station, where trash was being blown out and into the road. And I would say this too, Commissioner, a lot of times you get calls, I'll get calls, and they're blaming Daviess County's transfer station operation or landfill operation, and it's not us. We're not even driving trucks anywhere around that area, but they just, if it's trash, it has to come out of our trucks.
Right.
So, Anyway,
And the other thing, I'll just interject, it doesn't pertain necessarily to our trucks, but I know a lot of people throw trash in the back of their pickup trucks. And they don't give any thought to, as they're zooming down the road at 55 or 60 mile an hour, that trash eventually is gonna blow out, so.
I saw Commissioner Colger do that the other day.
And then I stopped and picked it up. But that does apply to any vehicle carrying, whether it's pickup
Yes.
truck or small little cart you're pulling.
Trailer,
Yeah.
tow-behind trailer, pickup truck, any, and I've seen some pickup trucks that had 8-foot high sides on it, overloaded and bulging, but anyway, thank you, Commissioner, for that, and
That's all I
Charlie
had. Thank you.
I
I
bring
appreciate
that
it
up.
too.
Well, you know, the good thing is I forgot what I wanted to say. So I'm going to go on. The next item is first quarter 2020 employee anniversaries. Jim Drury, Solid Waste, 20 years. Bruce Williams at Parks, 20 years. Deanne Brighton at the Coroner's Office, 10 years. Don't know how she lasted that long. Ron Whitworth Jr., Solid Waste, 5 years. Misty Payne, Animal Control, 5 years. Jerry Ames, Maintenance, 5 years. Let me tell you, you won't find a harder worker than Jerry. I mean, you will not find a better looking green space downtown, and that's because Jerry takes care of it.
Glad
Thank
you
you.
added that, because
Yeah.
when we had our budget meeting, you thanked he and
Yeah,
Joe Paul. and
yeah.
the
Well,
others.
all I can tell you is
He
Jerry,
does a superb job.
he does an excellent job. Works circles around. Well, I'll leave that alone. James McIntyre with the Road Department, 5 years, and William Wilson with the Road Department, 5 years. I want to thank each and every one of them for their service to the citizens of Daviess County. Commissioner, what I was going to say, I do remember it, cash for trash programs. Lots of times we get money in, and we grant it to folks who will go up out along those highways and pick up trash. Usually it's charitable groups, and we try to take pride in those roads. A lot of times when I've had a complaint on trash, I've gone out, and the majority of the trash I've seen, Commissioner, are sacks, drink cups, and sandwich wrappers. A
But
lot of
Judge,
that.
I will interject, the cash for trash is only for county roads.
That's
and-
correct.
And the complaints that we get primarily are 56 and 81.
Yes, no, you're exactly right. All right, if there's no, one last thing, here in about 10 minutes, if you go to the Daviess County Facebook page and click on the link, or the Emergency Management Facebook page, you can click on a link. Or I think the Green River Health Department Facebook page, you can click on a link, and you will see a Zoom meeting that will have the mayor of Owensboro, Dr. Dufresne from Owensboro Health. I think, well, doggone it, I can't remember who else is going to be on there.
You said
Clay-
Mayor Watson earlier.
Clay,
Clay
Mayor
Horton.
Watson will be there. I will be there. Clay Horton from the
Health Department.
Health Department, and there's one or two others. Andy Ball will be there, unfortunately. But it ought to be interesting. We will report what's going on in the city, what's going on in the county, what's going on at the Health Department, and talk about what perhaps the governor talked about, this reopening, the step-by-step reopening, and he announced safe at home, safe at work. So maybe he's going to start opening up some businesses here in the next week or two.
That would be nice.
So without objection, if we have no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court, we are adjourned.